A Bay Area man rescued as many as 15 neighbors during the height of Hurricane Helene. Next at 10, how he risked his own life to reach them. Plus, new questions about caring for the elderly during storms. Does the system need to do more? And the complicated process of collecting storm debris. That's all next at 10.
Next at 10, from hanging 10 to saving more than a dozen. How an Indian Rocks Beach surfer became a local hero. Well, we're back with your news and more in 60 seconds.
He saved us. He got the door open. He paddled us across to safety.
A local surfer running toward the danger of Hurricane Helene to help save more than a dozen people. Tonight, his neighbors are calling him their hero.
Hide from the wind, but run from the water, and that's definitely true in this situation.
We've said it many times, but it rings so much more true this time around. While many were saved, many across the southeast lost their lives during the storm because they did not evacuate. How one community is remembering one of their own who died that terrifying night.
Well, basically, this is your whole life right here at the end of the driveway. That's everything.
Streets lined with debris and ruined items from Hurricane Helene. Why residents are left with little options when it comes to clearing their personal belongings from the curb.
You're watching Fox 13, and the 10 o'clock news starts now.
Good evening, I'm Allie Corey.
And I'm Mark Wilson. So glad to have you with us tonight. First up here, 10, we've heard many stories of survival this past week or so after the storm. Families swimming across the surge to get to higher ground and such. But tonight, we're introducing you to a surfer on Indian Rocks Beach who put his life at risk to save his neighbors as that water from the Gulf was surging in. Fall Spring and Fox 13's Jordan Bowen, our newsroom tonight, who met him tonight with this story. Jordan, sounds like this guy's pretty incredible. What more did he tell you?
Yeah, Mark, his neighbors say he is the hero of Indian Rocks Beach. When Marty Thomas heard a woman scream for help, he says he threw his surfboard out the window and started paddling towards her. Then more cries for help came. This went on for hours. He saved about a dozen people and their pets. And throughout all, Marty says he and his neighbors have become family like he and so many others on their street. They lost everything and are staying with friends and family, helping each other out in any way they can right now. Get through this. Guys.
How special. What a guy he is, for sure. All right, Jordan, thank you. Well, that Good Samaritan says that he lost several of his own friends during the storm. He just couldn't get to them. And today, Pinellas County announced that 12 people have now died, and many of them were elderly. Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis is live in the Riviera Bay neighborhood of St. Pete tonight after speaking with friends of one of those storm victims. Genevieve, they must be heartbroken.
Yeah, they absolutely are, Allie. This community here in Riviera Bay is so tight-knit. And tonight they are mourning the loss of their neighbor Jerry, who was 89 years young. They say his family, friends, neighbors, they all tried to help him evacuate, but he wanted to stay in his home. I also reached out to the county about the outreach and messaging that they are doing for seniors, especially as we are seeing unprecedented flooding in areas that have never really flooded before. There is a registry that you can have for a senior citizen or a loved one who may need special needs and special accommodations while evacuating. They check on those on that registry before every storm, and they update that once a year. So that is a great tool and a great resource. And another thing that has come up that we have heard from talking to people all across the county in the last couple days is people were concerned about leaving their pets. And this is just a gentle reminder that a lot of the shelters now do take people and their animals. Reporting live in St. Petersburg, Genevieve Curtis, Fox 13 News.
All right, Genevieve, thank you so much. Well, just moments ago, Holmes Beach Police Chief says the city commissioners voted on a rental moratorium for 45 days. So this means that no properties can be rented out for vacationers. Officials say it is being put in place because they want everyone to stay safe with concerns of debris from properties and the beach littering the area. They say it's just not the image of Holmes Beach that they want to portray because they know that they are a top destination, but they need to recover and they want to make sure that everyone stays safe.
Now an important update coming out of Manatee County tonight. Bradenton Beach will reopen to residents and business owners only tomorrow at 8 a.m., but you'll only be able to enter the checkpoint before the bridge on Cortez Road West and 127th Street West. If you're a resident, you'll know exactly where that is. Residents and business owners there with the required red vehicle tag will be allowed access, nobody else. Those without a tag, you still got to show a photo ID as well as a utility bill or a similar type of bill there to prove that you do live there. And then you'll receive a red vehicle tag afterwards, but this is what those tags are for. Another thing to keep in mind, no vehicles can be parked or left unattended along Gulf Drive, north side and the south side.
Well, crews in Pasco County have begun collecting storm debris, but officials say the process will take time and they'll need the community's help to clear it out as soon as possible. So that means separating your debris into categories on the curb. So be sure to keep lithium-ion batteries away from other materials and place them inside a dry container, such as a bucket. And if you're dropping off debris, you can take it to the West Pasco Resource Recovery Center. That's in Spring Hill. It is open daily from 7 a.m. until 4:30 p.m., but it is only for Pasco County residents, so be sure to bring your ID. The debris removal in parts of Pinellas County is in full swing. We noticed haulers drive up and down the streets of Treasure Island, clearing the piles of personal belongings stacked up on the curb. Fox 13's Evan Moon is live on the island tonight. And Evan, we know that this is going to be a lengthy process to get rid of all of that debris. And there are really some things that homeowners need to know through this process. What is it?
Hi, Allie. Yeah, with all of this destruction, obviously comes an unimaginable amount of storm debris. Home after home for hundreds of miles across Tampa Bay. You will see this: furniture, appliances, clothing, people's memories, and of course, trash from the storm. Now, Pinellas County has started to collect all of this to clean it up, but there's some things they say you should know. Now, Pinellas.gov has a page dedicated to storm debris cleanup with more information on timelines and separating debris, but the ball is rolling here in Pinellas. They are starting to pick things up, but they're saying it's going to be a long road ahead, so stay patient with them. In Pinellas County, Evan Moon, Fox 13 News.
All right, Evan, thanks. We continue to hear the heartbreaking stories of what flood victims have gone through during Hurricane Helene.
Coming up next, we're going to take you to Town and Country, another area just absolutely devastated by storm surge. Plus, a big piece of Safety Harbor will never be the same. The popular tree in that community that now must come down.
And then a little bit later at 10:30, an act of heroism. The Ruskin man who put himself in harm's way to rescue others during Hurricane Helene. Back after this.
Well, a staple in the Safety Harbor community is coming down after Hurricane Helene damaged it. The ear tree at Main Street and McMullen Booth Road was damaged at the roots. They were exposed, posing a danger of falling. The city says to make sure everyone is safe, they will have to remove the tree. Leaders say they know how important the tree is to neighbors, so they will plant another tree in its place.
And in Town and Country tonight, homeowners say Helene's storm surge, coupled with the tides, of course, brought water into their neighborhoods so fast they couldn't believe it there. Hillsborough County deputies had to rescue people from this neighborhood during the storm. A number of homeowners suffered significant damage, and just like other communities, people have been piling up their belongings on the curb because of the water damage. Some are marking it with spray paint to try to prevent people from taking it before the insurance adjusters can see it first.
We're waiting Monday. The insurance is going to come, and then we'll probably have to replace some drywall and some electrical work and whatever we lost, clothes, family albums, stuff like that.
Yeah, make sure you take pictures of everything that you throw away and all the damage in your home if you haven't seen your adjuster yet, for sure. Many people using the county's comfort station at Sandy Pearl Park. Staff there are loaded up with tarps, water, and emergency food, all into their cars for you.
And now, Fox 13 meteorologist Nash Rhodes with your Sky Tower radar forecast.
About half an hour ago, we had quite a lightning show here looking behind the skyline of downtown Tampa. You can still see some flashes every now and then from over my shoulder, but for the most part, those thunderstorms are beginning to wind down inland, and temperatures are also beginning to ease off the throttle, dropping down to the low 80s and upper 70s, with cooler spots mainly being found inland and in the spots that are seeing that very cool rain starting to fall. Lakeland right now, a storm to your south and west is inching its way toward you, and for areas farther to the north, more spotty coverage with this. Citrus, Hernando, and Pasco County, a lot of the stuff to the north weakening quite a bit. Dade City more popping up to your south and west over sections of I-75. All of this well east of Port Richey for now, with just a chance at some of these stray showers along the coastline there near Hernando Beach coming on shore. Otherwise, most of this again easing away from our beach zones and mainly along and just east of I-75, kind of falling according to what the forecast was calling for. Brandon, Boyette, Bartow. Lots of cloud-to-ground lightning within this particular storm. So if you're looking off to the east from Tampa or St. Pete, this is likely the lightning that you're seeing. All of this focus closer to Lakeland now, and if it continues on that eastward track, it's moving very slowly, but it would be pushing toward Polk City next. Farther east, more rain showers down toward Frostproof and Bowling Green. Stuff still staying relatively weak. And into Sebring, about 30 minutes ago, we had our strongest storm that we were tracking. Now still packing quite a punch in terms of lightning, but otherwise just some gusty winds from time to time and still some inland rain in a few select isolated spots. Our Futurecast forecast updating with the rain and showing that some of these will linger around a little bit later into tonight. About a few hours ago, I showed you that we had a chance for a passing shower or two closer to 2 to 3 a.m. Those rain chances might be just a little bit higher for our friends farther inland. And then into the early hours of tomorrow morning, we should start things off mostly dry with areas on the east coast looking for the first of our rain chances into the afternoon. Coverage will quickly begin more widespread across our area into 3 to 4 o'clock. This particular model might be overdoing the amount of rain, but at least you get the picture. Slightly higher rain chances into tomorrow than what we saw today, with about a 50 to 60% chance of rain, and a lot of that focusing back toward the coastline heading into 9 to 10 o'clock before we pretty much rain all those showers out and stay mostly dry late tomorrow night into the early hours of the following morning. Enhanced satellite imagery showing in the Atlantic. We're still keeping tabs on Kirk in 13. Kirk just minutes ago becoming a major hurricane. Very powerful system out there. Thankfully, that's going to be taking a turn to the north and west and then back off to the north and east, staying away from the United States entirely. The same with 13. That's going to be coming up behind Kirk, likely taking the name Leslie and becoming a hurricane if it does kind of fall according to what the Hurricane Center thinks of this system. You can see just how powerful Kirk is, though, really starting to get that look. Thankfully, again, each of those systems are staying away from our coast, and we're still keeping an eye on that same area of disturbed weather that's now down to just a 30% chance of formation over the next 7 days. This is looking more and more likely like it's going to be a big area of low pressure that draws in a lot of deep tropical moisture from the south. That's going to continue over sections of central and southwest Florida, saturating the atmosphere and bringing us more rain chances to close out this weekend and enter into the beginning of next week. Your 7-day forecast showing what I'm thinking, increasing those rain chances at least through Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, with many spots potentially seeing over 3 to 4 inches of rain. But I'll take it as those chances for development continue to decrease, guys.
All right, Nash, thank you. An unsealed court filing is shedding light on what's behind the criminal case against former President Donald Trump. The new information released that paints a picture of why the prosecution is seeking criminal charges.
Tomorrow, the NOAA hurricane hunters of Lakeland show what it was like flying into the center of Monster Storm Helene.
Also, some helpful advice for homeowners trying to navigate the complicated world of hurricane insurance claims.
And Charlie walks you through the basics for getting rid of all that debris. It's all bright and early.
On Good Day Thursday.
Well, a newly unsealed court filing from prosecutors is laying out some new details in this landmark criminal case against former President Donald Trump, and it all centers around the allegations surrounding the 2020 election. This filing from special counsel Jack Smith and his team offers the most comprehensive view to date of what prosecutors intend to prove in the case. The filing says Trump knowingly pushed false claims of voter fraud and, quote, resorted to crimes in his failed bid to cling to power. The new filing also cites the accounts from Trump's closest aides to paint a portrait of, quote, increasingly desperate president. The filing was originally submitted following the Supreme Court opinion on board immunity and official acts by presidents there. Well, President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are making a trip to areas that are impacted by Hurricane Helene.
Oh, their first stops, North Carolina and Georgia.
Coming up, what the president saying about the destruction he saw and when he potentially could make a stop in Florida.
Well, President Biden is now making the rounds, visiting communities just ravaged by Hurricane Helene. And today he stopped in the Carolinas, promising more help is on the way. Fox 13's Haley Hines is here with more on what he saw and the growing federal efforts to rescue these devastated communities because, Haley, still so many people are missing.
Yeah, you know, Allie, we say devastated right now, but the sad truth is we have not yet seen the full extent of that devastation. The cost of damage and the number of lives lost rise by the day. Today, President Biden surveyed the destruction by helicopter peering down over the states of North and South Carolina. Vice President Harris traveled to Georgia today, announcing they approved a similar request there for 3 months. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump visited Georgia on Monday. President Biden continues his tours of the hurricane-hit states tomorrow, heading to Florida and Georgia. And while details have not been released publicly of where exactly Biden's headed in Florida, we'll be sure to keep you updated on where he goes and what he has to say. Mark and Allie.
I'm sure he will. He is in for something for sure. They all are. It's just incredible up there. Well, as time passes, more and more stories of heroism are emerging from the night that Hurricane Helene's storm surge overwhelmed many of us in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, while residents in Ruskin were trying to escape the rising waters last Thursday, one man set off into them to help those people who were trapped inside their homes. And Fox 13's Brianna Arredondo has his story. We're seeing so many of these amazing heroic stories. That was Brianna Arredondo reporting with photographer Corey Beckman. You know, David didn't know the people that he rescued from the storm surge, but he says he's hoping to find them so he can have a conversation with them on dry land.
That is some heroic stuff right there, no doubt about that. Well, Israeli ground forces clashed with Hezbollah militants today after they crossed into Lebanon. The IDF says that their soldiers were ambushed in an Iranian-backed Hezbollah by Iran-backed Hezbollah fighters, and 8 soldiers were killed. This comes a day after Iran fired 180 missiles at Israel. Most were intercepted, but some did get through. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised Iran will pay, while President Biden has urged Israel to not strike Iran's nuclear facilities. The U.S. is now coordinating their flights for Americans to try to leave Lebanon.
Well, this election cycle has become testy at times, but 2 neighbors are turning their different views into a fun competition. We'll tell you why the whole neighborhood is behind their growing number of political signs. The Seaside Seabird Sanctuary took heavy damage from Helene, but help is on the way. We'll tell you what's happening tonight to get the feathered residents back to normal at 11. While you may have a candidate that you are hoping wins this November, you can now put your money where your mouth is. The federal appeals court ruled that betting on the outcome of the U.S. congressional elections can resume, at least temporarily. An appeals court dissolved an order that it previously issued that prevented a New York company from taking bets on which political party would control the House and Senate after November's election. The company has not expanded betting offerings, though, to the presidential election. Well, we are still weeks away from the 2024 presidential election, and there are 2 neighbors, both named Rob, and they're going head-to-head with their political yard signs.
Yeah, they don't want to get robbed on the election, right? Fox's Kenzie Beach has the story of some friendly competition here, though. I'm surprised they haven't painted the houses yet. If you do have to register for the November election, you only have a few days left to get it done, though. The deadline is Monday, as in this Monday, October 7th, to register to vote in the general November election coming up. You will be able to change your address up until Election Day on November 5th, but the mail, remember, could be affected by Helene, so you don't want to wait. Local supervisors suggest that you request a mail hold from the post office if you can't get any deliveries right now. If you have been temporarily displaced, you don't need to change your voter registration address. Instead, you can contact your election supervisor if you're getting mail at a different address. Kev?
Bucks are going to be without 5 players tomorrow night in Atlanta. You got to hear why their running game could be the difference in this ball game. And the Stanley Cup champs are in town to take on the Lightning in this preseason matchup. It didn't take long to see just how much these guys really like each other, right? Highlights of the preseason battle between the Florida Panthers and the Lightning straight ahead.
Hurricane Helene devastated parts of the Tampa Bay area. Thousands of people have been impacted, and the best way you can help is through the Red Cross. Scan this QR code or go to redcross.org/foxforward, and your donation will provide safe shelter, hot meals, and emotional support to those in need. It's an easy way to make a big difference in our community.
This week, we're packing up and heading to Atlanta for a Thursday night primetime matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. This is shaping up to be a tough battle between the Bucks and the Dirty Birds. Plus, it's a critical division contest for both teams. Join us for a special hour-long Thursday night local pregame show starting at 7 p.m. and kickoff is at 8:15 right here on Fox 13.
Well, At 3-1, you know, the Bucs are still the team to chase in the NFC South, but tomorrow night's matchup in Atlanta is going to be a tough game for the Bucs. So once again, they're going to be missing some key starters. Todd Bowles ruling out Luke Gedeke, Kalijah Cansey, Antoine Winfield, and wide receivers Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer. That's a lot of losses right there. The Tampa Bay Sun with a big 3-0 win in D.C. tonight. We'll have highlights coming up at 11. Nash?
Looking forward to seeing that. Thank you so much, Kevin. We're looking live right now in Sarasota, where temperatures have just dipped into the upper 70s. We're going to bring most of those lows into the upper 70s tonight, with temperatures into tomorrow afternoon back into the 90s, feeling like the triple digits. The heat is not going anywhere anytime soon, so just plan on that for the next few days. But we will be steadily increasing those rain chances to cool us off. And as you can see right now, Sky Tower radar looking even a little more active than it did this time yesterday evening. Dade City, Lakeland, Fort Meade seeing some of the heavy rain at the moment. Most of the lightning starting to wind down as well. You're probably not hearing as much thunder as you did about 30 minutes ago when we had numerous cloud-to-ground lightning strikes, especially down near Sebring and just east of downtown Tampa, near Plant City specifically. Up into Brooksville, though, and as far north as Citrus County, still just some passing showers for the most part. And I think, again, a lot of this will be winding down and continuing farther inland. Dade City, if you're not seeing the rain, though, more is coming. The same goes for you in Lakeland. Futurecast showing, though, things will start to wind down by around 7, 8, 9 a.m. We should be completely dry, and then we'll rinse, repeat, do this all over again into tomorrow with more widespread coverage and about 50 to 60% rain chances across the board for Central Florida heading into tomorrow. Your 7-day forecast showing that there is more where that came from. I think we're going to bump up those rain chances starting Sunday and Monday by quite a bit. We could even see some 70% chances starting to pop up at the end of the 7-day down the pipeline. But in the meantime, at least for the next 2 days, most of us kind of in 50-50 odds to see those heavy showers.
70%? Yeah, I'm no scientist, but that's a lot. Thanks, Nash. We'll see. You know, if you're one of the thousands of Floridians filing an insurance claim after Helene, stay tuned. We've got the 3 things you need to be doing right now to make sure your claim gets approved. Chris is also here with a look at what's coming up in mere moments. Top of the hour, what you got?
Yeah, Mark, we know it's tough to get supplies into some beach communities now because of hurricane damage, but you've got to see what they're having to resort to in North Carolina. They've turned to an 1800s form of transportation to deliver things like food, medicine, water to folks in a rugged area where roads are washed out. It's not the Pony Express, it's the Mule Brigade to the rescue. Their story is coming up at 11. And don't look now, but panic buying is making a comeback.
You know, my mother and I immediately were like, let's go to BJ's and buy in bulk a little bit because I have 4 boys.
Let's go to BJ's. Toilet paper and other stuff flying off the shelves because of fears over that dock worker strike. Tonight, an economist is weighing in on whether there's any real reason to panic buy. And speaking of those striking union workers who want a 77% raise, wait until you hear how much money they're making already. That and much more coming up on the Fox 13 11 o'clock news.
From the fishing fleet that makes its home in Tarpon Springs to the tower that keeps watch over Sulphur Springs, this is Fox 13 Country.
Well, thousands of Tampa Bay area residents are going through the daunting task of filing insurance claims and gutting their homes. On tonight's Fox 13 Unscripted, we were joined by former Florida Senator Jeff Brandes, who worked a lot on insurance policies during his 12 years in state legislature. Senator Brandes says it may take weeks for your insurance adjuster to get to your home, so you should absolutely mitigate now so that the mold doesn't grow. He says do not throw out your kitchen cabinets, and you need proof of everything that you want to claim as a loss.
Those key things of taking pictures, contacting your insurance companies, both of them if you have flood insurance and property, make sure you're contacting both of them, and then making sure that you're mitigating to the extent that you can.
Flood insurance, you can file a claim through FEMA at disasterassistance.gov. He says the average payout is about $5 to $7 grand. And if you're having a hard time getting in contact with government help, Brandes recommends that you reach out to your elected leaders. Call their office, see if they can help move things along for you. Well, you know, the storm surge from Helene brought a lot of things on shore, including wildlife.
Yeah, how local groups coming up were able to save a stranded manatee, because it clearly is some good stuff that we need.